Hi guys, welcome back to the second episode of Let's Edit. Let's go ahead and get Lightroom opened up here. And as you can see, this is the photo that we're going to be working with today. This is once again my beautiful wife. Some pictures of her I took out in the yard back earlier in the summer. This photo has already been on my Instagram at Green Bean Photography. I went ahead and the one that I posted on my Instagram, I've done a little bit more of an edit in Photoshop after I finished in Lightroom. That's why you're not going to see the final image on this today, but I went in and added some bokeh and stuff like that after the fact in Photoshop just to kind of give this photo a little more flair. But I kind of went with the teal and orange look again, that kind of faded crushed blacks look on this. So this is what we're going to be working with today. So let's go ahead and reset the photo, and we'll see if we can get back to what we had. So stick with me and I'll show you the process that I take on my photos. And like I said, this one I kind of was going for that faded teal and orange look. So we're going to go through step by step and show you exactly how I got there. First off, what I normally do is once I get a photo uploaded into my Lightroom and I decide that I want to edit that photo, I go ahead and I crop everything that I shoot for Instagram. I try to shoot vertically, and I try to crop with a 4x5 or an 8x10. That is what Instagram is formatted at. So you just want to go to your crop tool up here and then make sure you're in 4x5 and 8x10 if you're looking to put something on Instagram. And then even this one, I've got a little more, too much headroom here from what I would like. So I'm actually going to bring this down to about right in here. You want to leave some headroom so the picture isn't closed off at the top, but you don't want to have too much empty space unless that's a look that you're going for. Me personally, I try to find that nice medium, and I like the way that looks, so I'm going to crop it to where I want it, and I'm going to hit enter. And there we go. We now have the size of the photo that we want. So next step, what I normally do is I'll come over here and I'll just start with my basic tab. I'll come over and I'll start with exposure. Just depending on the lighting, a lot of times I'll shoot with natural light. I don't use flashes a whole bunch unless it's just something that I've aimed to do. But a lot of my stuff, I just shoot in natural light. I like shooting outdoors. So each photo is going to be different. Sometimes I shoot a little bit darker depending on where the sun's positioned in the photo. Sometimes I shoot a little bit lighter depending on where the sun's positioned. So this one, I think I'm going to bring the exposure up just a little bit to brighten things up. So I'm going to shoot for somewhere around 0.30, something like that. Not much, just a little bit to brighten it up. I will add just a little bit of contrast. I don't like adding too much contrast because it starts making things look pasty. So I'm just going to add a very, very little on this one. I think right around 0.2, 0.3, somewhere in there. Not enough to overdo things, but it will make a subtle difference. And if you do enough subtle changes, a lot of times it'll make a great outcome. That moves on down to the highlights. A lot of times I like to drop highlights. So this one I'm going to bring the highlights down somewhere. Let's see what looks good. Around, I don't know, 65, 67. That'll work. Well, it just went back. Let's go to 67. Yep, that'll work. And then shadows, I normally go ahead and bring those up on just about every photo. So we're going to bring these up quite a bit. Let's go somewhere around 65 again. 65 right in there. Yeah, I like that. Then we're going to be on the whites. Like I said, a little trick on that is if you want to help see what you're adjusting exactly, you can hold down the Alt key as you move your slider, and it'll actually show you. See, if you go there, then your whites are going to be blown out. If you come down here, you're not got enough whites, so it starts kind of giving that pasty look into the sky. So a lot of times I'll use that if I don't want to go too crazy, but most of the time I just kind of go by eye. So on the whites on this one, I'm actually going to bring those up just a little bit, somewhere in there, just to add a little bit more pop back here on this bokeh in between the leaves of this tree and the sky. It just adds a little more flair in that. And then somewhere like that. And then on the blacks, I normally drop the blacks on this one, is what I did. Just because I'm going to go through and crush the blacks on the tone curves here in a minute. And I like the way that it looks. So I'm going to go somewhere around 55, 57, something like that. Okay, clarity. This one can be also kind of like doing contrast. You can way overdo something, too much clarity, and it makes it look fake. So we're just going to add a little bit, somewhere around plus 15, plus, I like that, plus 18. Right in here. Okay, and then on the vibrance, I'm actually going to raise the vibrance on this picture because it'll help me in the after fact here in a minute. So I'm going to go plus probably around 55. I like that. And then on the saturation, I'm actually going to bring that down because this is almost overdone with all that vibrance. But I'm actually going to bring saturation down, probably -10. And then, like I said, just for the look that I'm going, I'm really going to tone everything down here in just a second. So I kind of over brighten everything now, but you'll see how it turns out. It gives it a really nice effect. On the tone curve, I'm going to come over here to what would be the shadows, and I'm actually going to crush those shadows quite a bit. I'm going to go somewhere right in here. Somewhere about right in there, and then even make me a second point here somewhere close, about right in here, and then I'm going to come right in the middle, bring the mid tones back up, and in the highlights I'm actually going to bring those up just a little bit. Somewhere right in here. Okay, so that looks good for me for right now. Next, I'm going to skip the HSL slider, the hue, saturation, and luminance. I'm going to skip that for now. I normally do all the color adjustments together at the end. I'm actually going to come on down here to sharpening. I am going to sharpen this photo a little bit. I'm going to add quite a bit, and you can tell it almost starts to give the photo a grainy look as you come up. But I'm actually going to sharpen that up quite a bit because I want these to be nice and sharp, since the whole photo is going to kind of get dimmed out here in a minute. Like I said, once again, you can use the Alt trick. Hold in Alt on your keyboard. If you're on a Mac, I'm on a Mac. And then as you move your slider, everything that's in white is going to be affected by the sharpening slider. So if it's white, it's going to get sharpened. I don't want everything. I just kind of want outlines to be sharpened. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to keep bringing this up. Probably somewhere around... Actually, I'm going to bring it all the way up. As you can see, it's just going to get some of the strands of her hair. It's going to get the outline of her face, the glasses, and a little bit of that leaves and bokeh in the background. But I don't want everything to be sharp. I just want like hard edges. So it's just going to affect what was in white right there. So I'm happy with that. Luminance is going to be what reduces your noise. So like if you zoom in on a certain part of the photo and you see kind of like a grainy look, that's what that's going to be. So I'm actually going to take the noise reduction up quite a bit, probably somewhere around 20. And that's just going to smooth things back out, is all that's going to do. But that looks good to me. You still got sharp edges on these outlines, but everything else kind of gets this smooth, almost dreamy feeling, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for on this picture. I kind of want it to be that faded, dreamy California feel, especially with her having the glasses and stuff on like that. I always click on the lens corrections. I always click remove chromatic aberrations. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but that's just something that I click on every single picture that I take. You can enable profile corrections for your lenses. It's just going to fix, like if you're shooting with a ultra wide lens and it starts getting distorted, it'll kind of help correct some of that. This one, I like the way this looks, so I'm not even going to worry about it right now. We're going to leave everything on that the way it is. You can come down here and this can kind of straighten your photo. And sometimes the auto does good, sometimes it doesn't, but I think that everything's laid out well. Her face is nice and perpendicular to the edge of the photo. Everything to me looks to be on point, so I'm not even going to fool with trying to change the positioning of the photo, but that's where you would do that if you wish to. I will come back and add a little bit of vignetting toward the end. That's normally one of the last things I do. Sometimes it works in photos, sometimes it doesn't. This one I'm going to say probably not, because what vignetting does, I'll go ahead and show you, but vignetting adds that darkness around it, or if you go positive you can bring a light, but it just kind of brings darkness around, which some photos, if they're overly bright and you want your subject to stand out, that works really well. But with this photo, the way I shot it, you can see that the corners are kind of dark already, so I don't necessarily feel that I need that in this photo. You can add grain to photo if you kind of want to go for that look. I mean, you can overdo it, but you know, some photos that works to kind of give that rustic feel. This one I don't like it, so I'm going to leave the grain turned all the way down. Now we're down into the camera calibrations. This is where you are going to start tampering with the colors of your photos, and like I said, I kind of wanted to go for that orange teal look, teal and orange look, something similar to that. So this is where we're gonna start messing with that. Shadows, pretty much what this is gonna do is it's gonna kind of give your shadows either a greeny type feel or more of a purpley type feel. This photo's got so much green in it in the background already. I kind of feel like I want to bump that up, so I'm just going to tamper with it. This isn't doing a whole lot, so it's not going to be a huge difference, but I am going to turn that up. We'll stick with 21. That seems to be fine. Normally what I'll do is I'll come down to the blue primary. This is where you're really going to get that teal and orange feel at, is off of this slider. So on the blue, you can tell here this goes up from a normal blue all the way up to a darker blue into your purples and stuff, and then this side of it's going to come down to your teal all the way down to more of a greener aqua type feel. So we're going to go to the left to achieve that teal and orange feel. So let's just go ahead and mess with this, and I'll show you a little bit. You can see here how it changes there. This side leads you up to your purples, then you go back down towards blues, and then you start getting into your teal colors. I want this one to be a little extreme, so I'm going to probably bring her down to about negative 56. It will start giving the skin tones a little bit of a color, but we can correct that here in the HSL sliders in a few minutes. So don't worry too much. You don't want to overdo it by any means, but that's what you're going to get. And now with the blue, this is going to be the saturation. This is how much blue it's going to apply. So like I said earlier, when we done some adjustments, how I felt like there was a lot of really bright colors, this is where I'm going to fix that and start to bring some of those back down and kind of neutral them out. So on the blue, we've done took it to the teal. I'm going to bring it on down quite a bit, probably somewhere around 92, 95, something like that. Let's go. Let's try right around 92. Okay, yeah, see, I like that. Everything kind of got her glasses, the color changed, her shirt, the color changed a little bit, but we really got that teal color. It toned down all this back here, all the greens got toned way down, and this thing is starting to look the way that I want it to look. And also by bringing that saturation down, we toned that red down in her skin, and we're back to that natural skin tone look, which is what you really want to try to keep in your portraits, is you want to have a nice skin tone. So now we're going to go to the green primary. I'm going to bring this one up, obviously, because you can tell this side leans toward the teal colors, and that's what we're going for in this picture. So I'm going to bring this up probably somewhere around positive 37. That looks good to me. And then on the saturation on that, I'm going to go ahead and bring that on up as well. And we're going to start getting some more of those yellow, those greens in the back are going to be more of a darker yellow, greenish color, and we're going to start popping some of those back out so the background's just not completely fell out. So let's go up somewhere around 67. That looks good to me. We're starting to get a little more color back in here, and it's more of that yellowy green color instead of being like a bright green. Our sky's starting to get that kind of teal feel to it, so yeah, we're definitely going in the right direction. And then on the reds, we wanted teal down here, now we want orange, so we're going to slide our red slider toward the orange, and I'm going to go somewhere around plus 30, 35 to 40, somewhere in there. Looks pretty good to me for this photo. Okay, now her skin's starting to get a little bit of orange color. What I do like about this though is it's starting to get some really cool highlights in the hair, and I think that really looks good. So we can tone this skin down a little bit here too, by taking this saturation on the hue and bringing it down, and I'm going to drop it down to somewhere around minus 60. Let's go somewhere in there. Looks good. We still got some of that color to pop out of her hair. We still got that orange feel, but her skin's not overly orange like an Oompa Loompa, and we don't want that for sure. So I like the way this looks. I think we're done with these sliders here now. So I'm going to move back on up to that HSL slider that we passed up earlier. We'll actually move up to it and the split toning since they're right here together. Split toning is just another way to achieve some colors out of a photo that you didn't necessarily have. And you're going to do that by adjusting the color of the highlights versus the color of the shadows. So as far as the highlights go, we're going to go 23 to 25. That's right in that orange color that I'm looking for. So a lot of times, like I showed you guys, is I'll take this saturation slider and I'll go all the way up to 100%, and you can see what color that this is going to be laying over. So if you wanted to throw a green over top, you can really see the green. It just lets my eye see exactly what color I'm putting on here. So I turn that up, and then that'll get me to right where I feel like I like this color orange on this photo. And I'm going to turn this one back down for the time being, and I'm going to go down here and I want to add teal color. So what we'll do is we'll take this slider and we'll crank it all the way up on the shadows, and I'm going to move this hue until I get that teal color that I want. So let's go around in here. I kind of like it. Kind of like this blue, almost purple, laying over top of this. I feel like these two colors are going to be contrasting colors very well. And you can see there, both of those, they're very good contrasting colors to each other. And that's what you want. Contrasting colors are just appear more naturally to the human eye. So you always want to try to stick with contrasting colors when you do start doing color grading. So now we're going to use these saturation sliders on both highlights and shadows to kind of achieve a perfect balance of those two. So on the highlights, the orange, I don't want it very overpowering because of her skin, so I'm going to keep it down kind of low. And then the blues, it's going to be pretty low as well. I don't want to overdo it because I did like the way we color graded down in the calibration. So I'm going to stick somewhere around here. This one I wanted about right in there. So we're going to go somewhere right in there. We're not adding a whole lot of color, but what you can do is if you want to add a little more orange over top of if you want it to lean more toward the orange as you do the blue, or blue toward the orange, you can use this balance slider and pretty much if you go this way, it's going to add more orange. Or this way, it's going to add more blue. This way is going to add more orange. So I do want to bring that orange up just a hair. So let's take this balance somewhere. Yeah, I think bringing that close to the top looks the best for the look that I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to call this good on the split toning now. Now let's move up to the hue, saturation, and luminance. Now a lot of times, since I do this last, I'll actually do the luminance first. Luminance is actually going to be how bright those colors are. So if you were to adjust the red slider, I'll go ahead and give you an example. It'll brighten that all the red colors on the photo. So if you can kind of see that darkens all the reddish tones, that brightens all the reddish tones. So a lot of times I'll use this on skin to help achieve, to help get rid of some shadows on just the face. I'll do this as a more natural way that I think, in my opinion, as opposed to going in and using a brush. I mean, you can do that, but a lot of times I can help get rid of some shadows. So you can see there's a little bit of a shadow on her forehead right there, but by using this slider I can pretty much bring that color up to eliminate that. So what I'm going to do here is actually going to bring that up. I like the way the red is. It kind of gets rid of this shadow here on her head completely. So I'm going to take that all the way up. The orange, I'll probably bring it up as well, just to help liven up the color. That's a little too much. I think somewhere right in there looks good to me. Yellow, I don't want to mess with those colors in the background. I like the way that this looks, so I'm going to leave yellows alone. Greens also, that's just going to affect background color. There's no green on her, so I'm not going to mess with those. Aqua, we can try, but I don't really want to brighten up her shirt. I feel like it's a nice color to itself. The blues I may bring up just a little bit, just to give a little bit of pop. Not much. Let's go +5 on those. And then purple and magenta, I have none of that necessarily here, so I'm not going to tamper with those two. That takes us over to saturation. I don't want any more reds in this photo. I start doing reds and it's going to make her lips too red, things like that, so I'm not going to fool with that. Orange, I may actually bring down just to tone down the oranginess in her skin just a hair. Somewhere right in there, that looks good to me. The yellows I'm going to bring down just a hair to help make her pop from the background just a little bit more. Yeah, you still got some color back here, but it's just there. It's not like it's anything that's going to take your eye away from her, because she's obviously the subject. So I brought that yellow down. Greens I'm also going to bring down just a hair, not much, maybe -15. That looks good. Aquas I don't want to take down. Saturation on blue, I might tamper with that just to see what it does. I don't know if I want to take it away. I might actually make those blues pop just a little bit more. Yes, I like that. It really makes the glasses pop, and what color you can see on her shirt here just stand out, kind of catch your eye a little bit. So I'm gonna leave that where that's at. And now we're gonna go to the hue. The hue sliders essentially just changes the color. So if you take your red and you move it back and forth, it's gonna change the colors of the reds on the picture. I'm gonna take the reds toward orange just a little bit, somewhere around 25. The oranges I'm actually going to bring this way just a hair. To get rid of the orangey look on her skin, that jaundice look, if we bring a little bit of red back into that, it'll make her look more normal, natural. So -34 seems to be fine on that. Yellows, I'm actually going to take the yellows toward the green. So as you can tell in the background, the yellows toward the reds, yellows towards the greens. That brings more of that back out in a natural look. green I'm actually going to bring up a little bit and bring them more toward a teal color. So we'll go somewhere around 50 on that. Seems to work. Aquas I'm going to bring toward the more toward the bluer side of the aqua. Not much, just a hair. Somewhere around 13 looks fine. Blue, I'm going to take blue down toward aqua. So if you'll watch her shirt and her glasses right here, you'll really see this one change. Yeah. So now you can see we've really got that teal and orange look going. We've really dropped all of our blues down to achieve that teal color. We've got the orange kind of in the highlights on a lot of this stuff. Her skin, really starting to get toward that ultimate look and feel that I was going for. And I don't know, the purples, there is some purple on her glasses and stuff here, so I may mess with it just to see what I can get. I may actually bring that purple more toward the bluer side so everything starts to kind of look similar. And somewhere, I don't know, I think that looks fine, somewhere around 68. So now you can tell we've completely changed the coloring around to give that teal and orange look, that Instagram banger feel to it. And I don't know, for whatever reason it makes me kind of have like a California feel when I see this color grading done. It just makes me think of that California vibe. So as far as all your basic edits go, that's about all I think I'm gonna do. I think I'm pretty happy with the color grading on all this. The only thing that I might go back through and do is I might do a little bit of skin touch-ups. A lot of times I'll do this in Photoshop, but it can be done on Lightroom. We can go through and remove some blemishes and stuff like that. Yeah, so we can go through and remove some blemishes. Not like anything's wrong, but we can fix things. So if we can, we might as well. So you're going to come over here and you're going to grab a healing tool, and it's spot removal tool on here. Pretty much the same thing that you've got in Photoshop. It works a little bit different. Sometimes it's not as clean as Photoshop, but we'll give it a shot and see. You can come over here and you can adjust your size, how much feather it has, and all that. Or once you get it on here, you can adjust the size by scrolling your mouse wheel if you have one. I do, so it makes it a little bit easier. But pretty much what it is you don't want to go overkill with this. You pretty much, if you have a blemish, you just want your center circle to be about the same size as that. So once you get it there, you'll click and it'll just pull the sample. And if you want the sample to move around from whatever part of the skin, you can simply move it yourself, but somewhere right in there. To me, that completely hides that. So we'll just go through real quick and grab a couple of these and see how this does as far as fixing that. Like I said, sometimes it works a little better than others, but we'll see. Just grab a few here and there. There isn't a whole lot to mess with. So there you go. Let's zoom back out. Let's try one more here. Okay. So, there you go. Other than that, guys, I think this one is considered done. So let's go ahead and take a look at the before and after. You can simply, at any time when you're editing, you can hit the backspace key, and that's going to give you what you started with. So here's our original photo after we cropped it, and then this is what we ended up with. So a completely different look, a completely different feel, and it just kind of gives it a whole different vibe. Like I said, I was kind of going for that teal and orange faded look, crushing the blacks, and I feel like we achieved that. Like I said, this photo's already been put on my Instagram quite a while back. It's just a photo that I really liked, so I figured I would go ahead and do an edit for you guys and show you the walkthrough and the step-by-step on how I achieved that look. So that's it, guys. I'm glad you guys sat through this with me. I'm glad to share some of what information I have. If there's anything that I did that you guys might see that might make it easier, by all means, please leave a comment below. I haven't been doing this but maybe a year, so there's still a lot of things that I don't know, and might be a lot of shortcuts that you guys might be able to teach me, and that's what this is all about. I hope we can all learn together and have a little fun while we do this. Also, be sure to check out my Instagram, greenbean_photography. I post daily on there. I've got a lot of content I'm trying to shoot a lot more, and that'll help me get a nice foundation for you guys to see what I'm taking on these edits and how I'm applying them to my Instagram. Also, leave me a email at letsedit88@gmail.com. I'd like to start taking some of you guys, some of the viewers. I'd like to have some submissions from you all. I'd like to have your raw photos sent to me, and I will actually post them up and do live edits of your photos on Lightroom and send them back to you guys, and I'll make sure to shout out whoever's photo that I'm going to do. I'd like to do one a week if I can get enough participation from you guys. So send me those raw photos. I'll be more than happy to go through and edit those photos for you, and you can kind of see how my eye takes the photos that you guys are presenting with me, and how I kind of think I would like to edit those if it was me that was shooting them. So let's do that. Let's try it out. Also, if you guys don't care, trying to get this page started, go ahead and give me a share on Facebook. Tell everybody, if you have any photography friends that's interested in trying to learn this edit process, maybe this can help somebody out. And also, go ahead and hit a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you would, guys, go ahead and subscribe. And be sure to stay up to date with all the videos I'm doing. I'm going to try to do 1, possibly 2 videos a week. And if you guys start sending in submissions, we may go ahead and bump it up to more than that. But I appreciate everybody for hanging in there, and I will catch you all on the next one.